Good morning. I am here to recap the IFBB Bigman Spain show. Is it called Bigman Weekend? I don't know. I panicked and just started reading what I saw on my screen. If I look deathly skinny and fit, it's because I'm cutting for a show. Cat's out of the bag. I am cutting for the Olympia 2025. Just kidding. I had the stomach flu. So I lost a little bit of weight. Okay, not cutting for a show. Let's wrap up the show. Okay, so Chantal Hill won. Congratulations. Oh, and as usual, we're just going off of pictures, because it's the best thing we have. Otherwise, we just wouldn't talk about anything at all. I would just read a list and say, this person won, this person won. Bye. That would be it. So, and this is nothing personal against any of the competitors. I look up to you. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, Bigman Pro happened this weekend, and Chantal Hill won! So she went pro like a year ago, and has not placed lower than third? Oh, okay, I guess she placed 11th and 5th. But like, since she's been a pro, her first year, she was placing like second and third place. It's crazy. So congratulations to her. I'm so excited. And should we go in ascending or descending order? Okay, let's just start with her. Okay, so I am going to pull up all of their pictures side by side, which I made because the angle for the comparisons wasn't great. So yeah, let's look at this. So we had Chantal, we had Sarah, Jess, and then two other people whose names I should have looked at first. So, in first place, Chantal. What do I think about Chantal's look? I think same posing things we've already talked about with her. Bring the arm closer to the body. It's just distracting when it's so far away. So I would bring her arm a little bit closer to her body to frame her glute, and I wouldn't have her hand so close to her belly button. And I've said this before, just in general, when you put your hand right against your belly button like that, your belly button for most people is the smallest part of your waist. So if you then cover that up, number one, it takes away how tiny your waist is, and then number two, it reads as skin flowing into skin, so it makes your waist to look thicker. So I would move the hand like over here to the connector, bring the arm in, and yeah, that's all I would change with her front pose. Maybe she's posed like a little hard here, but she could just be like pretty lean, and maybe like that's why we're seeing the striations or whatever, but she could like literally be pushing onto her stomach right here. And we would be able to tell that by like wrinkle. Yeah, we don't see any wrinkles or anything. So she's probably not pushing super hard. But yeah, so things that I think Chantal should work on for the Olympia. It's hard to know because there was no like top Olympians in this lineup. But I'm thinking, honestly, who knows? I would say maybe just overall streamlining. Like, can't tell because the lighting is really harsh at this show. Like, it's super bright white up here and then gets darker as you go down from shadowing. So I'm wondering if it's just going to be come Olympia time, unless it's just the lighting, if it's like a little too much detail some places. Her conditioning is definitely balanced from top to bottom, front to back. She doesn't look softer in one area than others. She has just as much conditioning in this leg as she does in that leg. Like, we see some little detail here. It's not just a blank slate like we talk about when people's knees are pointed away from the judges. So yeah, I would say for her, it might just be overall ratios. So a little more fullness to this glute so it doesn't look like the same width from top to bottom. Obviously she has great shape, but yeah, I just wonder if like a little bit more extreme of a proportion will be helpful once she's in the US. But it's for the Olympia, but it's really just going to take being next to some top Olympians to know that for sure. So if I were her, what would I do as far as my show strategy? It's hard to say. I would probably it depends on if she gets better after every show. I don't necessarily think she gets better every show she does. I think it's just been a different crop of people because she's consistently like in that top 5. So I don't think it's that she takes more time to start looking her best. Like Jordan Brandon always says that she looks better after like her second or third show, I think. But Chantal is pretty much always on point. You know, according to your placings. So I would just say that she's pretty muscular, but again, it might just be the lighting. So she might just need to streamline. And by that, I mean kind of not softening up, but just maybe softening up, giving a little bit more Maureen or Jennifer Dory or something like that. So yeah, if I were her, what my show strategy be? I might just come to the US a little bit sooner, like maybe a month or so before the Olympia, do a show or something after the cutoff, maybe see if I can qualify for the 2026 Olympia. As if she shouldn't be over the moon that she just qualified for one. I'm like, she should probably qualify for the next Olympia. But yeah, I would just do some shows that are big, like Sasquatch, Legion. Those shows are pretty close to the Olympia, and get against other people who are also testing their peak pre-Olympia to see how she stacks up. But at that point, it might be too late because Olympia is so close. There's not much you can change. So another course of action, because I don't think she needs that much more muscle. If anything, maybe in the glutes, we'll look at her back pose and talk about it then. But maybe it would behoove her to come and compete like not too early, because if you compete really early, there's not usually a lot of Olympians. It's usually like newer people trying to qualify for the first time. But maybe just an earlier show to see how she stacks up, like a Pittsburgh or a New York. Duh. Okay, what a long-winded way of coming to the conclusion she should do Pittsburgh or New York. Obviously, she should do Pittsburgh or New York. So I would see how you stack up there, and then that would give you enough time, like May until, if the Olympia's in September. They haven't announced it, but it sounds like it'll be earlier, maybe September. Yeah, so that would give you June, July, August, September. Yeah, that would give you enough time, if you're her, where she wouldn't need to put on much muscle anyway, to do the Pittsburgh or New York, maybe both, see how she stacks up against other, like, top Olympians. Like, Amy Delgado pretty much has done that the past 2 years, so she would get compared to number 4 in the world. And, yeah, see how she stacks up, and then decide from there, should I take some time off to make the improvements for the Olympia? That's what I would do. Okay, yeah, roundabout way of getting there, but that's what I would do. I would take a mini break, compete again in May at Pittsburgh and New York, and then, if finances allow, and then take some time off. Either way, probably, like, either way, unless they say, like, make a couple tweaks and then come again and do some other big show, like, Wasatch. Is that after Pittsburgh, New York? I don't know. Anyway, that's what I would do. I think that's before. That's what I would do. And then decide what to do. Yeah, okay. Hope that makes sense. That was pretty long-winded. And I would blame it on the fact that I'm not feeling well, but, I mean, we know that I talk a lot. Okay. So, which is not bad. Who am I proving this to? Okay, from the back, chef's kiss. I am obsessed with Chantal. Chantal, I need to look at the spelling. So yeah, it probably is going to be a little more glutes because her legs are pretty muscular and I'm kind of drawn to the legs here. So yeah, I would take some time off, build glutes, do Pittsburgh and or New York, and then go from there. So yeah, I would say a little bit more glutes because her legs, even though this is slightly off center, her legs look pretty much the same width as her glutes, and we always talk about how we want that taper down into the legs. But yeah, muscularity everywhere else is beautiful. Maybe a little too much. We'd have to find out. If she goes against top Olympians, hair is a little bit long. It's laying on top of her glutes right here. So I like this length looks good, but this is just like a little bit too much. So I would cut the hair a little bit. We could see her hourglass shape better if she does that. There's not really anything I would change about this pose. I mean, because it's a little off center, it's hard to know. Let's see if we can pull up comparison, which I have right here. Is she in the middle of any of these? So yeah, I think she just needs to build some glutes, and then yeah, I would still say that, and then I would have her cut some of this hair, but I think she looks great. So yeah, that's my take on Chantal. Let's get rid of this, and then so yeah, congratulations. And then we have Sarah. So Sarah qualified for the Olympia last weekend, which is so exciting because she's placed second a few times this year, 3 times. So congratulations to Sarah on last weekend. The pictures for that show are not out. And she's another person who just went pro last year. Like, she went pro in October of last year. So, yeah. what do I think about Sarah? I don't adore this suit. Let's pull up her front pose. Yeah, I don't love this suit. I preferred the suit she wore at that like first show I saw her do this season, which she's probably worn multiple times. Yeah, this looks really good. This looks really good. And let's compare that to this show. She looks like she's getting just a little bit tired, in my opinion, because her waist looks, it might be the lighting, but her waist looks a little bit, it's so insulting to say it looks a little distended there, because obviously she's fucking snatched. But yeah, I would say she's looking a little washed out in the core. It's probably in an effort to get a little bit more fullness, or maybe she's tired. I wish I had pictures of her win from last weekend, because I'd like to see what it looks like compared to this. But yeah, she looks like she's bursting at the seams with her fullness of the show, so it probably is just that. Because she's giving like Laura Lee conditioning at the Olympia this year in this photo to me. And who won this show? Because I honestly thought like it could have gone her way. Anna. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, Anna. Yeah, I thought it could have gone either way at that show. I didn't look at the scorecards, but yeah. So anyway, I prefer the other suit that Sarah has worn. And what do I think about this pose? I think it's probably good. The waist is distracting me because of what we just talked about. She could maybe angle the hips away a little bit, but honestly, it's hard to say. She could maybe do that and she'd get more of that like pretty standard hourglass shape that other people are getting. Like do we see it on Chantal? Yeah, like if she angled her hips away a little bit, she might get more of this extreme hourglass that Chantal has. But I think this is good. It's just going to be a matter of, I would like to see also what she looks like at a Pittsburgh or New York Pro. So yeah, if I were her, I'd probably take some time off unless you're going to compete in the US where some top Olympians are. Are all the top Olympians Are they all from the U.S.? I kind of think so. I'm not like trying to say the U.S. is the best by any means because we have many shortcomings. Many shortcomings. But, okay, yeah. Everyone here lives in the U.S. Maybe Raina doesn't, but everyone else does. So, yeah, if she could come here and get compared against some of them, again, maybe Pittsburgh or New York, then I think that would really help her out as well and show her where she stacks up, because then same thing, she could take some time off, make the necessary improvements. But congratulations to her on winning last weekend. And what I think okay, let's go on individuals and then I'll pull up the group photo and say like where I think people got their placings. This is all over the place. Okay, and then her back pose, I think it's excellent. I mean, maybe her glutes look a little bit overpowering compared to the rest of her, but honestly not really, because she has the same amount of fullness in her shoulders that she does in her glutes. I think where Chantal won is probably her front pose, because Sarah has a better taper into the legs here, but her waist just wasn't as tight, and when competitions are really close, then they kind of end up just defaulting to like who has the best hourglass shape. And I would say that on that day, Chantal did. And the scorecards said that it was a perfect score. So we can't really like necessarily go off of that. The hair, I think it's a little bit stark. I would want more of like a more yellowy blonde if you're going to do blonde. Let's see what her hair looked like at this show. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. I like her new back pose better. So yeah, I think that the hair looks a little bit stark, but it could just look that way because the suit is also very silvery. So yeah, maybe add some lowlights to the hair or something, but definitely switch the suit. But you're already qualified, so that's when you want to experiment. Like, if she's experimenting with a new suit color, it makes sense to do so after you're qualified. So, yeah, and I think hair and makeup, makeup looks really pretty. And tan looked pretty good, too. We'll look at the comparisons to really decide on the tan. I see some splotchiness, but it's nothing, like, egregious. Okay, and then we have, in third place, Jess Feeney, who is already qualified. Boom. Jess. Okay, we didn't lose the footage. We didn't lose that awesome footage. Okay. So, Jess, she is wearing this suit again. I'm just hoping for the Olympia she doesn't wear it. It doesn't matter for her because she's qualified. But yeah, I'm a little bit confounded about why Jess is continuing to compete when she's already qualified, because she qualified like weeks ago. How many weeks ago did she qualify? In October. So, like, almost 2 months ago. And she has some improvements she can make, just like everyone has improvements they can make. So okay, let's name some of them. So I think she comes in a little bit too lean. We're seeing some like cross striations here, like right in this area. And yeah, she just needs to soften up a bit, still make those same posing things that we have said about her multiple times. So leveling out those shoulders, she's sitting a lot into this hip, which is making her waist look a little thicker in my opinion. And we're seeing crazy detail like here in the serratus area. So yeah, she just needs to soften up a little bit, and it's because she needs more muscle. Because you have to come in tighter when you need more muscle, otherwise you can't see the muscle that you do have. You'll look too soft. So she's coming in like, honestly, probably a little harder than she needs to, but you know, she does have to come in a little bit harder to get stuff to show. And we all hear the discourse about how they judge differently and I don't know why I'm doing like quotation marks. A lot of people there say that's true. I can't really comment on that because I'm not like at these shows. And there's not like standardized lighting across all of the IFBB. But here's what I mean when I say she needs more muscle. Her glutes. So she has to get this tight, I think, to see this ham tie. But it's a little bit, it's too much. It's honestly totally flattening out her glutes. And I think part of that is she's arching so much. One of the ways we can tell is because we see where that glute ends and then we just see like this inner thigh here. So yeah, when you are arching that much, great mobility, but when you're arching that much, it stretches out the glutes and then makes them widen and flatten. So yeah, and it looks like her knees might be locked out too, which I don't really think is helping. So yeah, same things with her back pose that we always say, which is like stand up taller with this torso, don't pinch the shoulder blades, maybe a little more bend in the knees, don't arch quite so much. And then the hair leaves a little bit to be desired, because we can see this connector. It just doesn't look like clean. I mean, it looks clean, like, you know, it's not dirty, it's not oily or something, but it doesn't look like polished. So some more polish to the hair, different suit come the time of the Olympia. So yeah, that's my take there. Oh, she's like more opened up there. Yeah, this opened, like her shoulders are kind of rounding forward, but like a little more open because now we see better hourglass shape. She's not fully posed here, you can see because of her hands, but yeah. So that is what I think about that. Oh yeah, and if I were her, I'd take some time off, like make those improvements for the Olympia. I don't know how much muscle she can like realistically make by the time New York and Pittsburgh happen. Because it looks like she needs a significant amount of glutes for them to show at a little bit softer of a look, higher of body fat. So, do I see her placing super well at the Olympia next year? Honestly, no, unless she took a significant amount of time off, made these changes, built the muscle, came in a little bit softer, polished her entire look, and then she is someone who I would say shouldn't really compete again till like the month before the Olympia or something. Because I don't think she would like do super well at the Pittsburgh or the New York, to be honest. And that's not like shade against her. If I did either of those shows, I would get last place, baby. Even with the stomach flu helping me out in a little expedited fat loss. So yeah, that's what I think there. I think she should definitely take some time off. I don't really get why she's still competing, but it's not really up to me to get. And a lot of people have different reasons for competing. Like, some competitors are like, I just want to do a bunch of shows because it's fun, or like, I want to have kids next year or something, so I like want to have fun. It doesn't really matter how I place. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what her family planning is. That's just like an example. Okay. And then in fourth place, we have Katarina. So the highest Katarina has placed this year is, fourth. And she just went pro in May. So that's like fucking awesome. and she was placed 4th again. Like, so she's consistently doing well, even though she just went pro. And so these girls in Europe, they're like going pro and then nailing it right out the gate. So good for her. Her situation is just going to be a little more overall muscle. So she needs more size to the glutes here. I think she's pulling that connector up so high because she like wants to accentuate the glute. But what it's actually doing is showing the, or maybe they're too big. Could be as simple as that. But it's showing the shallowness of the glute right here because it's like, this is her back at this point. Like her glute stops right here. So I would get a different suit because this shape isn't that flattering. Also, the bottoms are so low here, and then the way she's posing, she's like expanding her rib cage, which is making this this distance right here between the suit and the top of the suit and the bottom of the suit super long. So I would get a different suit, and it's making her look like very vertical, if that makes sense. Like it's cutting off weirdly right here. I would like it to be more like toxic suits that are more of that like triangle. So yeah, but she's just like needs a little bit more size everywhere, honestly, especially in this lower body. The hand could be on this connector here. Same thing we talked about with the hand on the belly button. And then we talked about her tricep recently, didn't we? I feel like we did. Yeah, the Romania. So I would open up this whole pose a little bit. So I would open up the hips a little bit, open up the shoulder width. She has like kind of a narrow shoulder width, but since her waist is so tiny and everything else is so good, then that doesn't really like hurt her. Sometimes when people have a narrow shoulder width, it makes them look like very rectangular, but she also has a tiny waist. So she opened up her shoulder width a little bit and her hips. Then she would get more of that standard hourglass shape, but she's looking like she's tilting forward because of this expansion in the ribs up here. And she also is like pretty cocked up in the shoulder. And then maybe a little bend in this knee because it's just causing a lot of negative space here. And the shape is just not really, you know, showing in the way it could. Let's look at this comparison and see how she looked in the actual lineup. Okay. Where is she? Yeah, okay, so she's on the end, so it's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, that's what I would do with her front pose. And then with her back pose, let's look. Her back pose is going to be more overall glute. So she's the suit cut again, like just a new suit, because we see where this glute ends, like pretty definitively, and we see that lower back. Like the lower back is highlighted because it's further away, the light is catching it, and we can see the shadow at the top of the glute that shows the its shape. And we need more of like that rounded heart shape cut and not this T-back. She's also pinching her shoulder blades, which we just mentioned that she has a more narrow shoulder width to begin with. So, that's not really helping with the hourglass shape. And I think we're seeing a little bit too much space here. I would like her to move the hands down, down a little bit on the legs, and then open up her shoulder width a bit, and then new suit bottom. And I think that automatically would make her do better. Like she probably could have edged out Jess if she had those little details adjusted. Not to take anything away from Jess, but I would say she's more balanced from front to back than Jess is. So yeah, I would do that. I don't love the curl. Like I just don't love curls like this anyway. They look like barrels kind of. I don't know. So I don't love that. So yeah, those posing adjustments and then more size overall. So if I were her, I would just go into a long off season and build and then like come out and do well. Like she's already getting 4th and she's pretty undersized. So if she just took some time off, that would really help her out. And then her tan, it's having some issues, splotches here, you know, just splotches. So yeah, fix the tan. But the makeup looked pretty. Okay, and then in 5th place, we have Regina, and I couldn't tell which show she went pro at. Obviously, she went pro like in the last month and a half. I don't think 2nd place at this show got their pro card, so, but let's find out. Okay, yeah, I don't think she went pro at this show. She didn't, so I don't know where she went pro, but congratulations on being a new pro. What do we think about this? So the first thing that stuck out to me with Regina was the hair. The hair is just kind of in her face. So, and it's covering up her physique. It's like swallowing her upper body here. So, get the hair off of your shoulders, and then she automatically would get a better hourglass shape. Like, she clearly has a lot of hourglass shape. Her shoulders are also kind of like pinched up like this. So, level out those shoulders. Level out the shoulders. And then that would like automatically make her look more balanced. The makeup is pretty. It's a little gray here in this under eye area. Maybe it's the powder they use. Maybe it has SPF in it or something, or like talc where it's giving flashback. Don't love the shape of the suit. I would get a new suit. The color is okay. I might get like a more true red. This one is like kind of wine, kind of red. But she'll just probably need a little more overall size. But before she even does that, she could make some posing adjustments and probably do better than 5th place. She's done 4th place before. Oh, well, no, that was at qualifier. So yeah, I'm an Nourishment Pro. Congratulations, though. So yeah, hair off the upper body. The pose is pretty good. It looks a little forced, but I think that's because of our shoulders are hiked up. And she could bring the arm closer to her glute. And then in her back pose, it's also going to be a matter of just more size. She has those really bubbly hamstrings. Like, you aren't seeing any separation down those hamstrings, so that's good. But she needs that like taper from the glute into the leg. So more size on this upper outer glute. I think she has narrow hips, so that's going to be something that she kind of needs to work against to balance out her physique better. So she'll definitely need more glutes, honestly, to just get the similar width that she has to her shoulders. Obviously, she can't get them as wide as her shoulders. That would be, crazy wide. But, like, more to mimic the bubbliness that you're seeing in her shoulders. And maybe more glaze on her upper body. Her lower body looks like she's got a lot of glaze, like, on the calves here. But they didn't really glaze her that well up top. And then I would say the hair is a little bit too long. So yeah, we want to see that low back, and I think she's arching a little bit too much, but probably just so we can see the glute ham ties that she has. Actually, she probably went pro at this amateur portion of the show. Okay, no, they didn't have an amateur portion. Okay, I know where she went pro. But yeah, more glutes. And probably more hamstrings too, because her calves are what stick out to me. Her calves and her shoulders are what stick out to me in this back pose, and we kind of want this to stick out, like the glutes and the hamstrings. Let's see who got 6th place. I'm curious who she beat. Gisela. Yeah, so Regina must have looked really good. I think this girl, because this girl has like more of what we're asking for with her, and she's like very full, but we aren't seeing that same amount of conditioning from top to bottom. Like, we're seeing conditioning, separation in the shoulders here, but we aren't really seeing any hamstring separation back here, like at the tiniest hint. But yeah, so I think Regina's conditioning was a little more balanced, and her front pose was pretty good. And then this girl's front pose is good too. But, I mean, we would want to bring the arm in a little bit. But, yeah, she's a little bit quad heavy, but I think it's just the angle of this photo. So, yeah, I would say Regina is probably more balanced than Gisela here. But I really like Gisela's look. Very pretty. And the suit looks really pretty on her. Okay, so now let's look at the comparison photos I made. Okay, so here is the front pose comparison. So where do I think Chantal won? Better hourglass shape. It's hard for me to not be like, and make this posing adjustment. But I already did all that, so I won't. So I would say better hourglass shape from the front. Then Sarah, tighter waist. And then Jess's conditioning was just a little bit too much. You can see Chantal still looks very bubbly. And then more muscle for these last two. So, she has more muscle than Regina, but, and not even as good of an hourglass shape, but looks overall more polished than Regina, I would say. And then in the back pose, yeah, I think Sarah has the best back pose in this lineup, but her front pose, I think it was a front and back competition with these two. And then here, Jess has the more developed glutes, and I guess more balance from top to bottom. So I would say she outmuscled her. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. And then Regina, just not as balanced from top to bottom as her right here. So yeah, that's what I think. Oh, and tans, I was gonna say, it's hard to judge Chantal's tan from the back because the lighting is so harsh, but I would say Sarah's tan looks the best despite that one little splotch. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this show. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. And now I'm gonna do a video on the Battle of the Bay that's happening this weekend. Okay, bye guys.